And the boisterous done some really good things for us. But we should have asked, when we prayed about it, we should ask for moderation, but not as much. So, first we'll start off with, we got a packed house tonight. Literally, we have the state representative, Selena Bliss. We'll get the update from ADOT. And then Arizona Metals is going to provide an update, Adam Hopkins. And then an update from Yavapai County. We'll have the Sheriff's Office, Development Services, Public Works. I'll give you an update on a lot of the broadband things going on. So just hang tight with this, and actually maybe not fire here too to talk about some of the fire stuff. So kind of bear with us. If a question's asked, don't ask the same question again so we can get through it as quick as we can. So pay attention, please. And then with that, I'll start off with Selena Bliss.
The pledge first?
What's that?
The pledge? I start every day with pledge and prayer, so I didn't know if I started with pledge. It's officially started. Thank you, Supervisor Gregory, and thank you folks for coming out. My name is Selena Bliss. I'm one of your Legislative District 1 representatives. You get two of us. My seatmate is Representative Paul Wynn. You've also got Senator Ken Bennett with many years of experience. I'm what they're called a freshman legislator. This is my first session, but I've lived in this county for 52 years. I was raised in Prescott, stayed there to work all my career in Prescott Valley, taught at Yavapai College in the nursing program, both the Birdie side as well as the Prescott side. So I really am proud to represent all 8,000 square miles of this county. I volunteer for the Yavapai County Search and Rescue on the backcountry unit. I've been down here several times on the Agua Fria doing some missions, so I appreciate getting out. The other thing I appreciate about being an office holder is attending these community meetings. I've been out with the supervisor since the county pretty much is Legislative District 1. It's a perfect fit. So I can follow all 5 supervisors. I can go to Congress and Ashford and learn the issues here in Black Canyon City. So it's really important to me that whoever's in this office needs to be engaged with the various communities. We're very, very blessed to live here. So I want to point out, a subject matter expert on everything. I depend on you, the constituents, to tell me and my seatmates what's going on. However, I see the role as a legislator as a facilitator. So you tell me what the issues are and what you need facilitated, and that's what office holders are for. Now, recently, I have become somewhat of the go-to person for potholes, it seems. So I don't know how this happened. Back in January, a constituent emailed me about the pothole issues on I-40, really bad, from Ashford up to Seligman and on to Kingman. So I wrote back, and I've been on that interstate quite a few times in the last few months. And all of a sudden, a news story came out, and there's my email on the news. And I thought, you know what, let's grab this and run with this. So a lot of back and forth with ADOT. I've made some connections. I've learned some information. I've learned how you and myself as citizens can log in and indicate problem areas. I'm also hearing what the holdups are. So all of a sudden, it seems like this office is learning more about potholes than I ever thought I would. So anyway, when it comes to the issues with ADOT, I'm here to learn as much as you guys as well. But I'm really glad to be here, put faces to the names, learn to get to know you and what the issues are facing you. And having said that, I'll be here all the way till the end, and I'll stay even past when everyone's gone, so that if you want to talk one-on-one, I'll just be here in the back. And with that, I really appreciate it, Supervisor Gregory, for getting us out. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker will be Daisy Mount Fire, Chief Tobin.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Supervisor Gregory, for inviting me here, and Representative Bliss for being here tonight. It was good to see her as well, and our friends from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, our partners up here. We always enjoy seeing them. My name is Brian Tobin. I am the Fire Chief of the Daisy Mountain Fire Department, which is your fire department here up in Black Canyon City, up on Station 143 on South Black Canyon Highway Road there. They're in the back, and I'm sure you saw all the trucks as you pulled in here this evening that we have next door, so you can see the equipment that you have here in Black Canyon City. Your fire station is staffed with 4 people at all times. 2 of those are paramedics. There's 5 of them up here today as we ramp up some of our brush fire response and just being prepared. We had some extra people, so we made sure that they were up here today. So I'd be remiss if I didn't have a shout out to my crews, whether they're up here in Black Canyon City or down in New River, Desert Hills, and or Cave Creek, and just commend them for the excellent work that they do on your behalf. I hear all the time about the great work that they do, so I'm really proud of them, and hopefully you feel the same. I do have an information pamphlet over there about the Daisy Mountain Fire District. Please feel free to grab one of those. There's some information on the back and some phone numbers. If you have any other follow-up information or anything that we might talk to you about tonight, we'd be more than happy to follow up with you via phone call or email. As you know, it has rained the last 6 months more in this area than it has in the last 20 years that I can recall. And when it rains, things will grow. And as you see all those beautiful yellow flowers that are all over the hills, they will start dying. They already have started dying. And they will lay down on top of the last year's growth, because last year wasn't a very large fire season for this area. So it just builds and builds and builds. So depending on the monsoon and the humidity, relative humidity as we move forward, we don't know what kind of a wildfire season we're going to have, but most are predicting a fairly robust one. So some people say, well, what can I do? There are things that you can do. You can prepare yourself. And you need to be ready for a fire that may come close to your home by cutting back all the debris 30 feet around your house and cutting back branches and shrubs 10 feet from your house. There are things that you can do to keep yourself safe, even though the threat is high. You can also register on the emergency notification systems that exist. There's one up here in Yavapai County, which is called Alert Yavapai. If you go to Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, there's a link there for you to, then you can find information on it. There's a text that you can send to 888-777 that says Alert Yavapai, and you can register for the emergency alert system, that if there was an evacuation in your area, similar to what we had a couple of weeks ago when we had to evacuate the trailer park, you would be notified via text message and things like that, so that you would know when to go. So the first thing you can do is be prepared. The second thing is to be alert for when those notifications do come to you, because when you get a notification of be set, that means you need to be ready to go. Because once you get a go notice, if you get another emergency notification that says you have to go, that means you have to go. It's not taken lightly, that we know how hard that is on folks. But if we're evacuating an area for a wildfire or a flood, it's really important for you to heed those warnings and listen to them. So we ask you to, those are the 3 things you do. Be ready, be alert, and evacuate if the notifications are there. Before I leave, I just want to make a shout out to the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors. Thanks to Supervisor Gregory and others. They're doing a free drop-off. So if you are going to clear the areas around your home, there is a place where you can take those trimmings free of charge. That is April 1st through June 1st. So it goes on through June 1st. And you can drop those off at the, at the substation, right? So you can send them off at the substation. Sorry, I missed that. So not only do we ask you to do it, we have systems for you to take your stuff somewhere to get rid of it. So, and this notice is also on the back, this flyer, talking about that information on how to find out where that is and what you can take. It's only for residential clippings, it's not for commercial use, so you can't bring lumber and things like that. You can bring all of what's called slash trimmings, which is your trees, your branches, grass, and yard trimmings, okay? So with that, I just want to again encourage you to be ready. Sign up for those emergency notification systems. If you're from Maricopa County, some of you might be over that side of the line. Here they have a different system, which is called the Community Emergency Notification System, or SENS. Similar thing, you just sign up there and you'll get those notifications via text. So I have a question up front here.
If we ever do have to evacuate, is Cannon School a place to go?
So whenever you have to evacuate, the evacuation notice will tell you where to go. Generally, the pager, the text that goes out will tell you, this is a go notice, go to this website. And they'll take you to a website or a phone number to call for the recorded message. There's only so many text characters that are allowed, so we will notify you where to go and when to do that, okay? This was the facility that we used when we evacuated the trailer park, when it was, the flood was threatening to cross over. We came up here, Daisy Mountain came up here with our CERT team, our Community Emergency Response Team, the Red Cross, and this was our shelter. We were here for 24 hours in case anybody needed shelter. So this is one of the places that we use. Yes, sir. Okay, I hear it. His comment, I'm going to repeat it, says, he was here and we treated him like God. That's a good thing. So thank you very much for that. I know our folks worked really hard and tried to make it as comfortable as we could in a very difficult situation. Question here.
It's not a question, it's a comment. My name is Jeannie Glover. I'm on the school board, the president of the school board. And Angela Jangela, which is our superintendent, has always opened up the school if there is an emergency or something happens. She's right there talking to these about and would open up if we need to. I know we've done that in the past for fire season.
Yes, absolutely. This is absolutely one of our go-to places, but I would always say make sure that you know where the location is. I don't know over here.
Slash drop-off.
Yes.
The hours are the same as usual, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or are there special hours?
It's the same that it normally is. It's just free. Free to drop off. Sir?
That sends the emergency notification. Is that Maricopa County?
That's Maricopa County. Up here in Yavapai, it's called,
Everbridge?
the app is called Everbridge, but I think the system supervisor is called Alert Yavapai.
So that's the one I want to use if I live here in Black Canyon City?
Yes, it is, Alert Yavapai.
Okay, I went to Sennington because of this Black Canyon City.
Right, that's because it'll be back in Maricopa County. So go to the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, and you'll see that system there for the notification.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you all very much for allowing us to be here, and have a great meeting, and thank you, Supervisor Gregory.
And earlier I said the substation, it's not the sheriff's substation, it's actually the transfer station where it brings needs to go. But I'm sure the sheriff will be all right with it if it, you know, over there. Okay, ADOT, Floyd, Ulrich.
Thank you, Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Floyd Burke. I'm a deputy director with the Arizona Department of Transportation, and I had the pleasure to be here the last time you held one of those, and we had a very good discussion. But at that time, the project was pretty early in some of its development, so we did not have all the answers. We were not able to give you a lot of technical information, not just about the project, but the water, which was a big issue of it. Since then, our project team has really put together quite a bit of information. They've done a lot of work together, and I really want to thank the Hewitt Fan joint venture for taking the lead and getting that information for us. But we're here tonight to give an update on the project, to give you kind of an overview specifically on some of the water issues, and to really, again, answer questions and let you know where we're at with the project and what we feel the impact the project will have, as well as any other issues and concerns that you have. So, without further delay, I really want to get to the project team so they can start sharing information and we can start getting questions and see what other answers and other information you may desire. So I'd like to start with our project manager, Annette Riley. And each of us will have a little bit of a role here as we go through it and discuss the information. But please, if you have questions, go ahead and ask them now so we can go ahead and address them as soon as we can. So Annette, you want to start?
Thank you, Floyd. Good evening, everyone. Second time around here, missed the public meeting initially, obviously with COVID. But I just want to start with a little refresher of what the project is about, just in case you have forgotten. If you don't mind, my laptop didn't work with the remote, so I'll just stand over here. This is the I-17 improvement, a fairly large job for the state of Arizona, and then the two Sunset Point. And as the graphic shows here, we are widening on the south segment, what I call from Edmond to about Black Canyon City, around this area. 2 lanes in each direction, so we're adding 1 more lane northbound, 1 more lane southbound. Now on the north segment, which is the got full water up to the Sunset Point. We're adding 2 lanes on the existing southbound. Existing southbound I-17 lanes, we're adding 2 lanes southbound, which we're calling the flex lanes, which will open northbound on Fridays, southbound on Sundays, Mondays, so on, right? I mean, with the heaviness or the heavy traffic direction. So again, this is kind of a refresher. I'm sure you saw this, but it was almost about a year and a half ago. So just a refresher on what the project is all about. This is fully funded at this point, and we are underway with construction. And here's kind of like our timeline on where we're at. Right now, we have pretty much practically completed all of the design elements. So you will see, as you can see, all the heavy equipment all throughout the corridor, all the way from Anthem area all the way to Sunset Point. All areas are getting started working, so we're moving into more of the heavy construction phase. Okay. Still targeted to finish or open or get this whole entire project done by early part of 2025. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our water Lauren, who completed a water study.
Thank you, Annette. I will also stand up here so I can go through the slides. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lauren Candriva. I'm a hydrogeologist with Montgomery & Associates. We're an Arizona-based water resources consulting firm, and Hewitt-Fan hired us to help do an impact analysis of a construction well that's planned here to support the I-17 improvement. Okay. So the analysis that we did of this new well that's going to support the I-17 expansion, the methodology that we used is based on the methodology that's required by ADWR within an active management area for any new well that's installed that pumps more than 35 gallons a minute. And so what we essentially did was take the planned groundwater extraction, do a forward analysis of that well independently. So it's an analytical model. It's not a quantitative groundwater model that takes into account all of the recharge and outflow. It just looks at the groundwater conditions at the well and how the pumping from this well impacts the immediate area. So the analysis that we did assumed approximately 20 GPM constantly from the well. The well will not be operated that way, but this is a bulk analysis. And so the analysis is done. We input 32 acre-feet a year extraction, which is an average of what Hewitt-Fan plans to use based on the information that was provided to us to complete the analysis. And I think it's important to note that this analysis looks at the impact to the aquifer. It does not look at the pumping water level. So the pumping water level is a little bit more than the overall impact to the aquifer. We'll go back real quick. So on the right we have a map, and this is actually the results of the analysis. So we did a pumping test on the well after it was completed, and I'm sorry, I see somebody trying to zoom in. I didn't know how far away that screen was going to be from everybody. But the green lines, if you can see them, show the impact of the well to the aquifer. And this is at the end of 3 years of pumping with 32 acre-feet per year extraction of groundwater. And the first green line that's immediately adjacent to the well location is 1 foot or 2 feet of drawdown. And the green line that's a little bit further out shows the 1 foot of drawdown impact after 3 years of pumping. And the blue dots on that map show existing wells. So those are all of the registered wells in Arizona from the well registry file. So the well was drilled November 17th, and we completed a pumping test on January 21st, 2023. The water level at that time in the well was about 18 feet from land surface. At the time the well was installed, we came back to do the pumping test. There had been quite a bit of precipitation, so the water level of the well at that time was 12 feet. In March, the well was not operated for about half of a month, just due to the amount of rain that had occurred. And during that time, the water level got as high as 4 feet below ground surface. So we did the pumping test on January 21st. We allowed it to recover through the 22nd. We did the pumping test analysis. So we developed the specific aquifer parameters at that location, including transmissivity, to do the well impact analysis. Those are numbers that the well impact analysis was completed with. And since then, we have installed pressure transducer in the well that will log the water levels the whole time the ADOT is using the well. So we'll be able to download that. It collects water levels every 30 minutes, and we'll continue to monitor the water level at that location and how it's being impacted by the pumping. Yes.
What's the water being used for again? I mean, I understand the engineering and construction, but what exactly are you guys doing, like dust?
It's both for dust control and for compaction. You have to have a certain moisture content of whichever material it is to get the right compaction. So they go out and do moisture testing, so that way you know whether you're making just common material or common material mixed with rock, drainage, bedding type material that's brought in. They're all a bit different. That's a lot of what we use for obviously dust control. And like Lauren said, I think we've had 23 days since the beginning of December where we haven't worked. Not necessarily while it was raining, but it rains and you lose a day of weather or half a day, then you end up losing 1, 2, 3 days because if it's opened up and it's wet, we can't be out there just mucking around in the mud or.
But lucky for you guys, it's been raining a lot, so the aquifers have been filling up.
Right.
Otherwise, this time last year, I think it was level 3, tier 3 water conservation. It's pretty bad.
Right.
So I'm glad that the water is also getting the version acting down for whoever water district. I assume the extra water you guys are using is going to seep its way back into the aquifer, I assume. Any extra?
Some of it will evaporate, so we take one back on the edge.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for providing this report and for Supervisor Gregory posting it on the website. That's really great. I noticed in the report it did say, sure. Yes, that was thank you to Supervisor, to you for providing the report, and ADOT, and for Supervisor Gregory for posting it to make all this information available to anyone who wants to look it up, along with information from K-Mine and the Black Canyon City Water Improvement District about well levels. I noted in your report you said there'd be a maximum of 40,000 gallons withdrawn a day from the Chandler well. I happened to run into some water truck drivers at the well, and they told me they had 4 or 5 trucks doing 4 or 5 loads a day of 4,000 gallons, which adds up to quite a bit more than that. I just wondered if that, the 40,000 gallon per day figure is an average or a best estimate and an average.
The 40,000 gallon a day figure is an average. And the way this analysis is done, we don't put in daily values, we put in bulk values over larger periods of time. The analytical model takes that information and models it. So how much they use in a day is not significant, it's the average. 32 acre feet per year is what was modeled.
So I wondered if you noted, or Floyd noted that construction is 20% complete. I wonder if there are any gallons of water used to date as compared to the estimate. If there are any figures like that. That's one question I have. And I wondered, because I saw the article, and many people saw it, where there was a budget increase of $76 or $78 million due to EPA requirements, culverts underneath, etc. And I wondered if that additional work had added to the estimated gallons planned to be used throughout the project.
So I'll take the second part of the question. I'll leave the first question for now, and I'll have Spencer and Lauren talk through it. So the budget increase is not an EPA, it's actually Army Corps of Engineers who changed their rule of regulations. So when the project was advertised and awarded to the contractor, there were one set of rules. And then with the change in administration and in headquarters, of Army Corps of Engineers. The rules reverted back to more severe restrictions where a lot more extensive analysis and produce more documents and so on. So that is what it is. So the 76 million it did not increase scope in the sense of, construction scope, construction footprint, so it will have the project, the construction component of it all stays the same. Now, one component was, kind of like that thin lid, which was, I'm going to geek out on all of you guys in engineering here. It's about concrete, about covers and how to treat them, and specialty foam material we are bringing in, and so on. So in regards to the element of water usage, this was not part of that.
Okay, great. But I had, I don't know if you have an estimate of how much water you've used to date to get to this 20% construction point.
We've used to date between M4 and starting to use the well here in Black Canyon City, about between 5 and 6 million gallons between the two. And the water we're getting from M4, what I understand is mostly reclaimed water. So we're using the reclamation water. We're using some out of the well here in Black Canyon City. And we've used more recently, but it's essentially a 50-50 split because we're moving further down south and moving more material. And, it's just a balance, and that's why Lauren was saying it's kind of the weighted average. We might use more from F4 or more from the well here, and it just depends on where we're taking dirt from and moving it to. And then the major earthwork will be done in the next 12 months, and the water usage from both are going to drop off by probably 2/3.
So are you using the Table Mesa well at all?
We're not pulling any water in our water trucks and moving that from the Table Mesa.
So that was one question that one of our Upper Freya Watershed Partnership members asked was, does the water from the Chandler well and Epcot well tend to stay in the local area, or does the Chandler well water go all the way down to Anthem and the Epcot water go all the way to Sunset Point?
Yeah, in general, if we're taking water from Epcot, we don't want to take it from Epcot Anthem Way and haul it to Sunset Point, or take it from Black Canyon City and go around Robin and just spread it all over the job. So we're definitely trying to keep it close. But if for some reason, water truck filled up at Anthem Way and they have to go up and make a round, it is what it is. I mean, it's just kind of how it goes by each ship.
Okay, thank you. And then someone, again, attending our meeting saw a drone looking at the Agua Fria River. The monument folks said, wasn't us, ask ADOT. So I'm asking ADOT.
Yeah, from what I know, we have one drone that we use to go out and quantify where we move material or embanked material. So we go out and use that for survey just to know our quantities and where they're at. But that's the only use we have for a drone.
So it might have been over.
And that's within ADOT right of way, but with the recent weather events, that could have been anybody out there with a drone.
Well, I really appreciate your answers. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to know, are you using potable water for dust control?
Not to my knowledge. It's water from the well here in Black Canyon City and reclaimed water from Kentport. Yep.
So this well has not been certified potable, has gone through all the testing that I require.
Not to my knowledge. No, it's raw water. Raw water.
Hi, Greg Watson, local here. Who paid for the well and the permits, and what was the cost for the installation of that well on Tony Chandler's property? And does he own the well, or does he own it after the project's done? Tony owns it, I'm curious.
Yep, so I can answer that question. We have a lease agreement worked out there, and without getting into all the details, at the end of the day, that's his well. And so part of that agreement was we get the well and we set the pump, we've continued on with Lauren and her group to do the tests and validate that what we're doing is going to be no impact, and we're going to measure as we take water from that well. But I would say the details of the lease we did the improvements, and we have an agreement for lease and water.
So Tony's not gonna make a dime on the water being removed from our aquifer?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, on your Montgomery and Associates paperwork that you go off of, I printed it off before I came here. On page 4, one of your bullet points, it says transmissivity of 1,575 square feet per day was calculated based on analysis of the 8-hour constant rate test. I talked to a Keywood employee, and he says he works 12-hour days, and then he's replaced by someone who works 12-hour days, so they're working 24 hours a day. And if that's the case, and if they're hauling water 24 hours a day, then this 8-hour constant rate test is only showing 1/3 of the water being used.
So the way a constant rate test is conducted is we turn on the pump and we measure the drawdown in the well as it pumps until it gets to a steady state, and then we have to turn the well off, and then we get a recovery curve. And then we match those curves to an analytical solution, and that's how we measure the transmissivity. So pumping it for longer, depending on the response of the well, does not improve that analysis or the data collected. This well stabilized almost instantaneously. It's a very transmissive aquifer.
And that was to get the aquifer parameters. Could you please use the microphone? Could you please use the microphone? Like to hear. So that was to get the aquifer parameters for the analytical model. The pump test is the most accurate way of determining the aquifer parameters to use in the model. And again, just want to specify, the model, the well was pumping constantly during the entire time in the model, the analytical model, so for the entire time.
Correct.
So it's pumping. The numbers she had up on that previous slide, the pump rate, gallons per minute, is going 24/7, 365 for the entire time, that 3-year period. So it's constantly pumping in the analysis, and that's the data that you saw. However, in actuality, based on what Spencer was saying from Keywood, they'll have trucks, and I'm getting to your question, you'll have trucks that will come and they may fill up. I think right now they're trying to catch up on some of the work. So you're going to have trucks coming in potentially for many, many hours. And you're going to be taking a lot of volume of that water. But eventually, when they're at this more constant rate, the pump will go on, they'll be filling trucks, and at certain times of the day, the pump is off. They've got it part of that duty cycle. But the model, again, is a more conservative approach. It's pumping constantly. And that's the worst case scenario. But again, when the trucks fill up, they're going to be filling up based on the pump going on and off. So you'll have this doing, the water table doing this up and down at different times of the day. Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, while you're there, I have an article from the Arizona Republic. It was February 2023, and an associate of Keywood was interviewed, and in the project, it just says, let's see here. It says a representative from Keywood said the company was prohibited by contract from discussing the project with the media. Can you tell me why they're not being transparent?
EDON, at the end of the day, is the owner of this project, and the Keywood joint venture works for EDON and provides their services. So any kind of media outreach and any kind of write-ups and so on, we work collaboratively. We want to make sure that the contractor team is adhering to the contractual elements, are adhering to all the requirements, all the specifications, the way it is done, right? And we do not want to, we want to make sure that we are giving that, of course, your connotation is that somehow it will come across as being disingenuous or not being forthright. No, our concern is that we want to make sure, right, in an arm of Keywood and Fenn of 120 and 200 people, that they all understand what things are and how they're supposed to be done, and also that they are adhering to it. So as ADON, as the owner, we take charge of those elements, especially those outreach, to make sure that we are saying what is appropriate and what is honest and what is the truth.
Okay, what calculation formula or well depth are you going off to be able to constitute when an overdraft occurs, and who determines that, and how long it'll take to recharge? Because we're very concerned about our water supply here in town, and we don't want to have overdraft occur, because that's going to affect our lives as a community, our property values. People might have to move. Nobody's been offered any kind of compensation if that occurs, and I feel like that this freeway is so important to get done for the Arizona economy and for that microchip processing plant that they're putting down there and all the economy and getting improved by that the state of Arizona looks upon Black Haven City as a willful and acceptable loss, or and it's just like we're secondary, and we do matter, but I don't want to be a ghost town if this is done. And so, we're like acceptable collateral damage. I guess that's the word I'm looking at to get this freeway done, because the economy is going to be very, very great for our state.
Well, I can speak at least as a state employee who has worked for the state for 23 years, right? I've invested a lot of my prime years to the state and to serve the state and to serve in this capacity. I can say honestly that we do not look at any community, any individual, any area as secondary. We do look at things holistically. Now, you have technical questions on the water elements, and I defer to my experts here. But on the element of ADOT and the state of Arizona making you whole or not being forthright or honest, I would say that our presence here over and over again, and our communication with any emails that come in, and our responses, and the amount of time we put into doing these analysis to provide those answers, so that we do give you a comprehensive, not a one-sentencer, not a rhetoric only. I can say honestly, with the project team and working on this, that we have invested Warren's time, Mark's time, and we went in and looking at that. This is our commitment to you, and I think our actions speak volumes on that. So I'm very sorry if you feel that way, or where you are at. I would say that from the department's perspective, representing the project team, I would say that we have invested and we will continue to invest. Now on the water.
To make me feel good at least, Kinder Morgan was contracted through Trans-Western Pipeline, or gas pipeline through town. And they put a 1.8 million gallon water storage tank in the old Greyhound dog track at the 244 entrance of the highway. And they hauled all the water from a third-party contractor, 310 Dust Control, to fill that tank. And they were using the water to detect gas leaks in the pipeline. And if they could afford to haul the water, basically they were getting it from a standpipe or a fire hydrant at Pioneer Road 917. And if they could afford to haul the water up there for this pipeline check, why can't you do the same thing and leave our aquifer alone?
I'm not very familiar with the Kinder Morgan project. I've heard that question before, and I believe we have answered it in the sense that, ours is a project that spans a 23-mile span, right? 23 miles going up and down, rolling in mountainous terrain, and there is a need. And we have made a commitment over and over, and I will make that commitment again in the sense that we are monitoring. Yes, there is one local well here within the city that we are utilizing for the project, that the JV is utilizing, but we are committed to monitoring and that making sure that we are not impacting the negative, right? And then we have made that commitment in the sense that if there is a negative impact, we will stop and we will revisit and we will re-strategize. Beyond that commitment, I'm not sure what else to say. Again, Kinder Morgan project, I'm not aware of and how they did and what their need was, how high their need was versus how, what their need was.
Well, if you do re-strategize, they stated that they would source water somewhere else. Do you have a other source if that takes place?
To be honest, right now, no, we don't. No, we don't. But we are actively looking at, JV is actively looking at with the FAN, and FAN contracting has worked on this area and are a very well-known contractor, and they have a lot of land rights and land ownership, and those are some of the possibilities, as well as upping some of the water usage from F4. I think Spencer, you can speak to that a little bit, but I think we have maximized what they were able to offer, but that would be another negotiation. Again, to us, you may disagree, but to us, we are doing our due diligence, we are making a commitment to the community, and so far, so far the water usage has been okay, and we're going to keep monitoring. But if by some chance there's even kind of an inkling or any kind of anything where we can see that there is a negative impact because of this one well within your community, we will be strategizing.
I don't know how long it takes to find another source, but I highly recommend you start looking. Thank you.
I have one question. You said like 3 years after this is done. Is it 3 years?
So the project, when we first came out, and that's what the slide shows, and that's where all the communication showed from the time when we awarded the project to the contractor to the end was 3 years. We're already 1.5 years in, and you heard Spencer to say, a year out, we're pretty much going to be seeing, less need for water, and less the construction starts winding down.
So when you have less need for water, does that mean you stop using the Tony Chandler well?
It's, like I said, it's gonna be cut by at least 2/3 for that remaining work, because the major earthwork operations, obviously, that takes the most amount of water. But as we start paving and cover up what we've opened up and start seeding and landscaping, then dust control needs go down. The operations that are going on after earthwork operations, we'll still be doing structures, but it'll be paving, drainage will pretty much be done, and so the water needs are going to drop way off. And those activities won't be all day, every day, or necessarily day and night. Those operations, you might be working at 2 structures at the same time, which isn't going to take very much water at all when you're working on structure versus earthwork operations.
So the well, when you're done with it, goes back to the Tony Chandler, right?
It's
all it is, right? You put a cap on how much water he uses or resells it from there. So he can do whatever.
Yeah, I mean, right now,
He can drain it out if he wants to.
As a private citizen, they can do whatever the law allows them to do. I can't control how a private citizen does with the property.
Okay, this tells me that we really need to get an active management area in Black Canyon City so the Arizona Department of Water Resources can regulate the amount of water coming out of our well from Tony Chandler, used for commercial purposes. Because since we've been in a stage 3 drought emergency up until just recently, now we're in 2, we need to get this regulated instead of let him just take as much water as he chooses to take because there's no law preventing it.
Any other questions?
There are people.
I know I introduced some question on the Black Canyon City Facebook page about sound walls. And I know there's a picture, a question on the Black Canyon City Facebook page about sound walls. And I know you did all come and show maps. It was either last October or a year ago that showed that there are not going to be many, if any, sound walls in Black Canyon City. Could you just speak to where they would be or will be?
Yeah, there are 3 sound walls. At the top of my head, I know there's one south side of the second. You remember?
I think there's 2 down towards Anthem Way and 1 closer to the river.
So they're not in Black Canyon.
I'm going off of memory here. The last time I looked at them, but I think there's 2 further down south, closer to Anthem Way, and then I think there's one towards the river and the TI area.
Yeah, anything you would like to send comments to us, if there are kudos, please do send it to us, to our project team. We'd love to hear it. Or any other questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to send it. So we do have that up there. If you, again, it's improving-i17.com. If you have your websites are going and so on. So and we have a lot of information on where things are at, some of the current videos, some of the work activities. So stay connected with us. We're more than happy to answer questions. Some questions take a little bit longer to answer than others, depending on the complexity of it all. But we'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for having us here again tonight.
So I will tell you, so basically, we have like 3 or 4 different sources of water that we're not just getting it from ADOT. And I will tell you, during my whole process, communicating with Floyd and ADOT, they have been very good, very responsive. They did give us a verbal commitment that if we're going to have impacts in our area and protect our aquifer. I haven't seen anything to indicate otherwise. I mentioned having a meeting on August 14th, and there was no question, yes, we'll be there. So everything that I see from ADOT is being very transparent, and they're working, providing all the information. I'm posting all that information on my website, so it's there, so we can see it, you can monitor it on the Black Cane City Water Company. Literally it goes back a year, so you can see where our aquifer levels were a year ago to now, and they're significantly up. So, that being said, thank you, Floyd, for being responsive and everything else, and making sure that you're coming to work.
We'll be back. If you want us again, Supervisor, we'll be back again. The director made a commitment that we are going to follow through from the highest level of data to make sure that this project has the support. That's why I'm here, and we'll do what you need.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the county updates. We'll start off with YCSL, and I won't call you Borough Pope. Lieutenant Marshall.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Frank Barbaro, your area command lieutenant. So I'm the guy that's in charge of this area, so if there's anything that you guys need, always reach out to me at the sheriff's office. Last time we had a community meeting, we had some issues that came up. We're talking about traffic control. So I don't know if you happen to notice some of the guys over here. Hopefully none of you guys have been the victim of it. We've made like 80 traffic stops since the beginning of the year. We're about 15 tickets, arrested a couple people. Yeah. One of the things that's going on, it's not really a good trend, is that we've gotten 2 DUIs where people weren't even driving, they were like passed out in the car. So, yeah, so, and one of us like at 6 in the morning, so, yeah, crazy stuff. Well, usually people like smoking fentanyl and then they pass out. So, yeah, it's like legal on a bunch of different things. Also, we've been working with Mr. Dye from Developmental Services. He's been helping us out, so when we get these abandoned motorhomes and we can't find the owner or can't find anybody to tow them and they charge the county, they've been helping us pay the bills. So we've been getting these things out of the neighborhoods. We talked about the alert system. It's called Everbridge Alert, and you can sign up for that through our website at the sheriff's office. It says, it's a little confusing because it says the Everbridge Alert, but it's to that same company. So when you sign up for it, it's, as long as you're signing up for Everbridge, you'll be okay. That's super important because when we had the floods, you know, we evacuated the trailer parks and all the low-lying areas, and that was a pretty unique situation. Is that we had no historical flood data to be able to work on. So we worked with county flood control and meteorologists, people in emergency management, and that's where we made the decision to send the go order for the low-lying areas. And it worked out pretty good. We came about a foot of getting flooded out. So, I mean, right, they said it was going to hit at 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock it came up, then it started going down, and we were all good to go. So that was a really good thing that we did. But, you know, those emergency notifications, you guys need to be signed up for them. Especially now with fire season. You know, last year we were evacuating you guys. And now with all this rain, and we're going to have all this brush and stuff. And, I mean, some fire could come from I-17 and come right into town. You know, and then it could also come the back way, you know, off of Dugas. Come all the way around. So, you guys, it's really important to be set up for that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't signed up for the emergency notification system when that surge was coming, so I had no idea it was coming. I had neighbors telling me, hey, you know.
Like they're getting stuck in the boat and stuff, and we're going, hey, we're
You're
going to
sitting here working in the yard, you should know there's a flood coming. When they send those notifications to cell towers in the area that are affected versus having to be on the app?
we're not set up for that. So he's going to talk about that in just a second. A couple other things that I wanted to run with you guys and tell you guys about here is, make sure you guys sign up for that thing. He's going to tell you how to do that. And you might wonder why he's standing here. This is Sergeant Logan Moody. He's going to be your Black Canyon Sergeant. One of the things that you guys were concerned about is not having enough coverage in Black Canyon City. Well, a couple things have happened. We've gotten some more people working for the county, thanks to our public relations person, Brittany Fink. She's on our recruitment team. Yeah, she's going to sign a bunch of people up. We've got a bunch of new deputies coming down to the area. We're going to be able to have a Black Canyon City squad. Sergeant Moody is going to be working out of the Black Canyon substation. So normally he'll be there Wednesday through Saturday right now, but he'll work whenever we need to. So I think it's going to be a good thing. We're going to get some more guys down here. We're going to get some better response time. What we've been doing to mitigate the freeway closures is we have a deputy down here at night when they close the freeway, so if something happens, they can have somebody here. So we did miss out at 4:30 in the morning when a drunk guy rolled the semi. So yeah, I know, but can't help that. He closed the road so we couldn't get through. So, but other than that, I'll let Deputy Sergeant Moody introduce himself, and then if you guys have any questions, we'll be glad to take them.
Thanks, Frank. Logan Moody, Sergeant now with the Sheriff's Office. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room. I've been working in this area, and specifically in Black Canyon City, for the last 17 and a half years with the Sheriff's Office. Took a little break in the training unit in the middle there, but for the most part been within the mayor, Cordes, Black Canyon area, especially the last 5-6 years, really focusing on Black Canyon. So I'm pretty familiar with the community. I've met a number of you already, so I'm looking forward to, again, spending some more time down here and working more directly with the community to specifically address some of our law enforcement needs. And those being the traffic enforcement, especially those concerns about unlicensed and unsafe UTVs and ATVs on the road, dirt bikes, flying up and down mud springs along Black Canyon. When we do get, especially holiday weekends, but really any weekend during the summer, if there's a crash on the hill, then everybody starts getting off at 242 and they fly up on Black Canyon Highway. So we're going to keep an eye on that, specifically address those issues as they come up. We're also tasking deputies to be in Black Canyon City as often as possible. You folks might remember over the last few years we had to cut back on overnight patrol coverage in the area. In fact, we had no coverage after 2 o'clock in the morning, so between 2 and 6 a.m. There were no deputies in this area. If you called 911, a deputy would come, but they'd be coming from the Verde Valley and from Preston. That's no longer the case. We have 24/7 coverage, and we're now specifically tasking deputies to be in Black Canyon City, especially on the weekends, but as staffing permits. This is a big priority for the sheriff and all the way down our chain of command, so we're making sure that that's getting addressed. We're having deputies here in town to address those concerns. Are there any other general concerns that we need to be aware of from this group? Either now or at any point in time, you can always reach out to us and let us know what's going on, if there are any specific enforcement areas that we need to work on. I absolutely want to work with you folks and get those addressed.
Do you have a non-emergency number?
Yes, and so thank you for bringing that up. There is a number to the substation, and a lot of people have that phone number. Nobody's going to answer it because I'm not there all the time. I'm going to be in town most of my shift as much as possible, but I can also get pulled away to Mayor, Verde Valley, or anywhere in the county, really, if I'm needed.
So we call 911.
So if there's an emergency, there's a crime in progress, then call 911. Even if it's a property crime. If it's a crime in progress, call 911. If it's a non-emergency, if you're looking for information, you want to ask a deputy a question, or you just have information about a delayed crime, perhaps, something that happened, the day prior. The non-emergency number for the sheriff's office is 928-771-3260. That rings to our switchboard up in Prescott. You let them know what you have going on. They'll put you over to dispatch. We'll take a report and send that in. So if you do have the number, the local number for the substation, don't rely on that because there's not always going to be something in there. Yes, sir?
We need you to 911 say it's a non-emergency.
Yeah, if you can't remember the non-emergency line and you're at your wit's end and you just need to talk to somebody, you can still call 911. They'll go to our dispatch center. You're on the county line, so it's a little fuzzy. Sometimes it might go to highway patrol, it might go to Maricopa County, but they'll get you where you need. Yes.
What's the non-emergency number?
It's 928-771-3260. Yes, sir.
Do you carry decibel meters in your cars for excessive noise, like people going down the road without bumpers and stuff like that?
We do not. There's also no decibel restriction in statute for any of that we can measure. So there's really no point in us carrying that kind of equipment around. And there's also no county ordinance for noise restrictions.
Including no blasters?
I'm not sure which references to that as far as what we're talking about. Motorcycles or
radios carry the shoulder.
boombox on the shoulder? No, unfortunately, there's not. So we have to work with what we work with on the radio.
Shake their windows back.
You can always call, especially if there's a point at which that's reasonable and there's a point at which it's not. So if you feel it's unreasonable, say it's after 8 or 9 p.m., people are trying to sleep and shaking the windows. That's kind of unreasonable. So you can always call and ask us if that will come out and see. Yes, sir.
I actually saw a road off I-17 going on Deer Valley, and I called 911, and I got transferred to the highway patrol, to the sheriff, to the police, and determined who was going to take that cost.
That can happen. I'll tell you, if you do run into that with the sheriff's office, and there's that jurisdictional question, we'll always respond, and we'll figure it out. We try not to leave folks hanging. We try not to pass the ball out off to another agency. We'll get it.
So, boss, that was called the sheriff.
And so the other thing I wanted to address was the emergency notifications. One of my ancillary duties with the sheriff's office is I lead and coordinate our in-house incident management team. So the groups that were doing the emergency notifications for the evacuation in the last few weeks, most of those folks were looking under my direction and under the direction of my cohorts on the team in our force patrol unit. And so we work pretty closely with our media folks and our emergency notifications. So Alert Yavapai, if you put that into a Google search, that will get you to our webpage for our emergency notifications. You can sign up for notifications by creating an account, adding your address, and connecting your phone number to it. So that way, if an emergency notification sent through the sheriff's office includes your address, then you will get that notification no matter where you are. So even if you're up in Prescott or down in Phoenix handling some business, if your house is in that polygon that you're drawn for notification, your phone will still ring, you'll still get that text message, or you'll get that email, or depending on how you sign up. We also use a couple of other systems. So the system that we use is Everbridge. That's the company that owns the system. And they use a number of resources to get addresses and phone numbers. So if you've ever received a parcel via UPS, USPS, FedEx, and you've had your phone number attached to that shipment, Everbridge has access to that through contracts with those providers, and so they're able to connect those phone numbers to those addresses. So that's how a lot of you folks are getting those notifications. We also have the option to use the Emergency Alert System, or EAS, which is like how if you get Amber Alert notifications on your phone, in the middle of the night, your phone, the alarm starts going off. That's the EAS system. We also have the option to use that and send notifications through that via Everbridge. So they might come one or two things, but preference is you sign up for the system. That way it gets to your preferred method of notification. Yes, sir.
Just give us a call. Just give the sheriff's office a call.
Yeah, just call that non-emergency one.
Non-emergency.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, thanks a lot for everything, guys. You guys are a great team to be working with. Our sheriff's office does a really good job.
Frank's handled a lot of the abandoned vehicles out in public lands, and they're very proactive. And a lot of the abandoned houses we have in Feather, so they go out and they work in action and do a good job of cleaning up the community. So we thank them. So we'll go to Arizona Metals. Adam? Hopkins. Got this place. Very nice.
Thank you, Supervisor Gregory. Thanks for having us. I'm David Smith. I'm with Arizona Metals. And for those of you who don't know what we're doing, we are exploring just to the west of town an old deposit of copper and zinc and gold that was explored previously, and that's where K Mine gets its name. We are not a mining company. We are a minerals exploration company. We're not mining. Right now, what we're doing is we're exploring to gather information to see if building a mine would actually make sense. And yes, go ahead.
Can't hear you.
Are you doing the drone flying around?
We did do some drone flights. Yeah, was that a surprise? I hope not. Okay, because we put out some notices around town, let folks know that what we were doing. That was really just photographing the ground to build an elevation model for us, and also to just to test the reflectance of some of the minerals. We can tell what the minerals are on the ground. It's an easy way to map minerals. So that's part of our exploration. Most of what we're doing is drilling. We're taking 3-inch core samples from below ground to test to see what's down there. And if it looks like a mine would make sense in the future, then that's what we're exploring for right now, to gather that information. If it did make sense, it would be a number of years from now, and through a design and a permitting process that goes through federal and state rigorous permitting processes with a lot of public input. So I just wanted you all to have that background.
So you have somebody contracting you right now?
We have a drilling contractor. Yeah.
I mean, actually, they need to say, okay, find me a spot so I can go drill.
We decide where to drill. So I'm the geologist on the project. I decide where to drill based on the information that we have from the surface. And then we, through the Bureau of Land Management, we permit the drill sites and the access roads. And then once those are ready, then we say to our drill contractor, the drill sites are ready to go from there. Does that answer your question?
They're watching the records.
Oh yeah.
They're on top of that so we can see where it's at.
So I have a few updates for you. Number one, we have two drill rigs operating on the project. We're moving both of those to the western side of our project, so farther from town, away from town. So you'll have less light and have a little bit less noise if you're in at all. Number two, we are laying a water line to help pump water to our grill sites rather than trucking it in water trucks. So that'll cut down on the traffic along that stretch of road and dust as we come into the dry part of the season. Number three, we're supporting a couple of groups here in town. The Heritage Park, we contributed to. We also have made a contribution to the food bank. We're both, we're happy to support the efforts of both of those groups in town. We're also in touch with Dave Moore at the Black Canyon City Water Improvement District. They are planning a new water supply well in town, and we are talking with them about how we can support that effort, because water supply for the town is a high priority for us. So we're in discussions about how we can best support that. And then I wanted to update you on the wells that we are using on our private ground at the old polo grounds, just north of town. The drilling operations that we use require water, and so we are pumping from one well. This is the radio station from the town, the old polo fields, and just on the south end of that field is a well that we pump from. And we've been measuring the water level in this well and in 3 other nearby wells since last August. And the graphs, I'm not sure if you can see them very well. You're welcome to come up and look at them now or later. But these are showing the water levels increasing since last August, as many of the wells in this area have with all the rainfall this summer and winter. So the good news is that the water that we are using is not having an impact on these wells at the polo fields. And that's the basic update. Who's got questions?
One good thing, I'm glad you're not selling water to keep it fed. And in the past, I imagine do this in the future, that if we ever get in a fire emergency, that you were willing to donate water to the fire departments to help that cause.
Absolutely.
I think you'll do that again if that takes place.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we were happy to provide water and a staging area for the Tiger Fire that happened, I think it was last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do that again for sure.
And the Black Canyon Trail goes through your project, but currently you're going to leave the trail as is. You're not at the point where you want to move it farther to the west.
Well, we have a proposal in front of the BLM for moving it, and they're working on it. It's all in their hands. We're willing to support that however we can. As a federal agency, that's all up to them.
Yeah, another thing that you did I really like, but now and then we have events where they actually run the trail, scheduled events, and you shut down operations during that period to let that take place, and that's very beneficial. We appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's important. Safety is the first priority for us. So, yeah, we put up water stations as well, and fresh porta johns for those events, and we shut down all our drill operations so that we don't have any traffic while people are running on those trails.
Well, we're really glad, or I am at least, to have a good neighbor.
Thank you.
How deep are you going for your core sample?
Well, fairly deep. Our deepest hole is about 4,000 feet deep. No oil, no, we're not looking for that.
We got a question, very practical. Have you been able to find any actual samples of copper? I'm especially interested in copper and silver. I'm working on a literary project which it would be interesting to develop some photography of some locally sourced samples. So I'm wondering if you have.
Yeah, we do. We have core samples that have copper minerals, We don't have any actual native copper metal, but we have copper minerals that the copper can be extracted from. So we'd be happy to provide some samples if you want to photograph them or study.
Oh, that'd be great. So how can I contact you?
Oh, that's a good, thank you for reminding me. See me later, I'll give you my contact information.
Great.
But we have two sources of information. One is our website, community website, kexploration.com. That tells about the project, and we put updates there when we have them. We also have a community hotline that you can phone into and leave comments or questions. And that number is 623-252-2291. And those voice messages come to me, and my intent is to respond to those the same day. So please, if you have issues, please get in touch with my team.
Thank you. Yeah.
623-252-2291. Is that right?
And then what was the website, exploration?
K-Exploration, K-A-Y.com. Mary?
Speak loudly.
I think it's really interesting that the water studies that you had done and from the Chandler well, which is downstream, you both have the same 9 to 10 foot water level in your well. So I'm kind of corroborating and interesting information and where the water levels are.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I forgot to mention, our wells have come up 18 to 20 feet during the period that we've been measuring them.
And thank you for working with both of our museums and the Chamber of Commerce. Really appreciate that, core samples and just different things. So, and whenever you guys get a brochure made up or something that people in town can have and pass on, I think that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
So we've got the map here, and we have the graphs here. If any of you guys are having trouble seeing this, or you want to pull this out later, Supervisor Gregory's got this up on his website, and I think you've got a link to our website as well. So if anybody forgets that, it's there as well. So, have any questions, whatever, email us, call us, reach out to us, send us something on social media. Yes,
Hello. What's the purpose of your exploration of the K mine? Are you extracting?
We are not extracting right now. We're a minerals exploration company. So what we do is we explore to see if we can find a deposit that would make sense to mine.
So you're getting information for another company to roll in and maybe extract those minerals?
That's one of the options. One of the other option is that we would continue with the project, and if it made sense to build a mine, we would finance and build it ourselves.
So there's new technology out there, I assume that's going to find stuff that the previous owners of that mine weren't able to access.
Yeah, it was last owned in the 1980s, so technology has come a long way.
So the renewed interest in this mine, has it anything to do with the semiconductor plant being built? You're not selling minerals to them?
No, it's not linked to that.
Just curious, the timing is seemingly coincidental.
Yeah, no, it's not linked to that at all. It is linked to generally more electrification in the country, and copper is one of the source metals for that.
Yeah, Arizona's a leading producer of copper, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
One extra thing to throw just on the question there, the good question. So about 1 in every 1,000 exploration projects ever turns into an operating facility for a variety of reasons. I mean, we have to look, we have to test these theories to figure out whether or not you got something and you have enough to actually make sense. But our cycle from like front to back, minimum 5 years, even the fastest projects I've ever worked on, and most of them, you're in for more than a decade. So you base them on where things are at today, but they kind of change over time as we begin to find out more, and technology changes, and methods of extraction change. you know, a lot of projects we end up, we try, and sometimes the answer is we just don't find anything.
What's the total amount of acreage that you have for mine claims?
We have about 1,300 acres of claims.
And 70 of that is deeded that you own, where the old K line is?
We have two kinds of claims. One are called patented, and those are private land, effectively private land. And the other are called unpatented. And those, the surface is administered by the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, but by staking those claims, we have the mineral rights. So it's land that we have access to for exploration and mining, but it's still publicly owned land. Thank you. Any other questions?
You only get 1 in 1,000.
You just keep going, one after another. Yeah. You go through a lot of projects. It is a high stakes game. Yeah. You have to go. You have to look at a lot of board rocks to get to some good ones.
One of my old bosses used to say I could kiss a lot of frogs.
All right. We have low levels of summer developments. We're looking at them to see if they make sense as byproducts. If they do, we can certainly produce those. But the main metals in this deposit would be copper, zinc, and gold. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Endeavor is responsive. I meet with Adam at least once a week, or once a month, and discuss some of the issues in the very community oriented. So they're out and about. I mean, they're very responsive. So kudos to them. Development services. Jeremy Dye.
Well, hello. Good evening. Thank you for having us here in Black Canyon City. I always enjoy coming out to Black Canyon, so this is always a very nice community to be in. So my name is Jeremy Dye. I'm the Director for Development Services in the county, and the gentleman standing to the right here is Mark Lusan. He is our newer Assistant Director of Development Services. So he started with us in August of last year, and he's hit the ground running, and he's doing a really good job. Just starting to kind of get around to some of the other communities as well, and getting to know all of you. So he'll be a good contact and a good resource for you as well going forward. But just to give you a little update on development services, we are a department of 72 people working in development services. We have two offices. We have our main office in Prescott by the airport, and we have a satellite office in Cottonwood with about 20 folks working out there. So you're centrally located. You're welcome to go up to either office and speak to our staff. We're more than happy to answer your questions, help you with your permitting issues and things like that. And that's what we do in development services. We oversee the building code and the zoning ordinance. So anything that you do, any kind of building activity, we ensure that everything that's in the county, that's built in the county, is built to a safe and healthy standard. And that is really our purpose, is to make sure that things are safe and healthy, and when they're not. We have a group for that too, working in development services, our land use folks that Lieutenant Barbara was talking about earlier. Our land use folks, they're kind of our code enforcement unit, and they're out there making sure that people have junk in their property, abandoned vehicles, abandoned property, things like that. We work on that as well. So, and what we've been doing over the last couple of years in the county is we've had a big housing boom. We've been actually busier than ever in development services. The county has been busier than ever for development. So we actually, our department has been processing about 6,000 permits every year. And that's a substantial amount. A lot of that has been new homes. So people are moving in from other parts of the country, other parts of the world, and they're building new homes here in the county. So there's a lot of development going on. And we've seen a little bit of that, not quite as much in the Black Canyon area too. So the word is out about Yavapai County, and it's a beautiful great place to live, and people are starting to move here. We've seen a lot of that. But one of the things that we've been doing also in the last couple of years is we've been kind of retooling and streamlining our processes. So one thing that we can share with you as a community, as residents in Yavapai County, is the workload has been increasing, but our permit review times have actually been decreasing. So we've been doing a lot of work to make improvements, and that's really our commitment as a department, to make sure that we're always improving for you as the residents in Yavapai County. And I tell you what, hold off to your questions for just a minute. I might answer them. Just let me get through my stuff, and I'll let you. We'll have some time for comment. But really, what I want to talk to you about is just a couple of other things. Mark and I have a couple of things to share with you too. One thing that has really been a benefit to all of Yavapai County is the comprehensive plan. And I was here probably 6 or 8 months ago talking about the comprehensive plan with all of you. And that was adopted by the Board of Supervisors last month. So the comprehensive plan, every 10 years by state statute, has to be updated. And so we took about 2.5 years and went through that process. And I think you're going to be very happy with the results. And I just want to encourage each of you to write down this website also, planningyavapai2032.org. And on that website, you can take a look at the adopted comprehensive plan, and you'll see specific sections in there for each community in the county, including Black Canyon City. So take a look at that when you have an opportunity. planningyavapai2032.org. One of the other things too that Lieutenant Barbara was talking about was just our code enforcement unit. I'll just share a couple of things with you there. And we have our folks, you've probably seen them around anytime that there's an area that's abandoned or junk on the property or excessively high weeds, things like that. We go out and take care of those things. And so if you have someone like that in your area or a property like that you'd like us to take a look at, you're welcome to send us an email, give us a call. We have a hotline. Our land use hotline is 928-771-3464. And there's nobody that answers that. It's just a recorded message. But leave a message with all of the information that you've got, all the details that you've got. You can remain anonymous, and we address every single complaint that comes in. So we want to make sure that we talk about that. 928-771-3464. And we have any questions on what I've talked about? Yes, sir. You had your hand.
I was just curious about doing the planning and what, and then I see all these little kids, is that even possible?
Yeah.
Permits and stuff you have to go through.
Yeah, people are, we see a lot of that. Be wary of some of those home kits. And a lot of times you go to Home Depot and you see those sheds that look like houses, and people want to move those onto their property and open up a tiny house and then rent it out as a short-term rental, right? As an Airbnb. You can't do that. There's a lot of rules and regulations about homes, dwellings, things like that. So really be wary of those types of things. But Mark is actually in just a few minutes going to talk about another alternative that we've got, a little solution that we've got for that as well. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the new development proposed at Rock Springs?
One more time.
Can you tell us about the new development proposed at Rock Springs?
Well, that went through our planning and zoning, and that is going back for retooling. So we haven't heard back from those developers as to what they want to do out there yet. So I don't really have a good update to give you at this point. The proposal that they brought to our planning and zoning commission actually was so they took that back and they're doing some retooling.
There was another proposed development in I-17 Cherry Road, and I guess the Board of Supervisors canceled that. Is there any other proposed new developments for that area?
No, there's not at this point. We don't have any real new construction. In fact, I was just looking at that this morning, kind of preparing for our meeting. There hasn't been a whole lot of commercial activity going on in Black Canyon City. At one time, there was the hotel that was proposed. That may come back. We have not heard back from those developers at all, so I don't even have a good update to give you on the hotel.
Do they still own that property?
I believe they do, yes.
We had a conversation a couple years ago, they talked about giving you a call and coming pick up trash on people's property, and it doesn't work. They have their private property, do not enter, and Rick and his boys can't touch it.
Yeah, and we've got some of those where people are just kind of digging their heels in. It's a longer process. In most cases, we still win. We still get the property cleaned out, but it does take some time because we have some statutory obligations that we have to follow as well.
Who do we talk to?
You continue working with us, with my department, with Rick and his group. In fact, you're going to have a new land use person here shortly. We're in the process of, his name is Scott Moore. You're going to be working with him. He's just as good as Rick was, and you're going to really like him.
That's two ways I can't do it properly.
Yeah, it takes time. We'll get there, but it does take time in some cases. Yeah. In the back there.
One thing I have is a very general question, not specific to Black Canyon City, which is I read a lot about, or hear about, and have found out a lot about things like the so-called Agenda 21, Agenda 30, and then I hear, that doesn't disturb me so much as the particulars, and then I hear a lot about currently that there's the idea of being promoted in Maricopa County for the development of these apartment complexes, 200 square feet, or something in that neighborhood, 250 square feet sizes, which in my opinion is about the size of a slave pen. I can't imagine planning, building, putting those on the market. Is there anything like that going on in Yavapai County?
No, there's not. No. Well, I tell you what, let's do this. Mary?
So I'd just like to clarify, when a company has a project, they come to you and you help them build the case for planning and zoning. Is that correct?
So a development company comes to us with let's just use a Walmart as an example. We can pick on Walmart. So Walmart wants to come in, they want to build on a piece of property in the county. So we start working with them to help them to identify what the zoning is on that piece of property, whether it's allowed by right on that property, or whether they have to go through a use permit process to be able to build their project. That we basically shepherd that through the planning, the whole public process, right? They have to reach out to the neighbors, get the neighbors' input and their concerns, their support or their opposition. They have to come back to us with all of that information. Then we schedule them for the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission is the advisory commission to the Board of Supervisors. And they hear the case, they vet the information on that case as to whether on the merits of the Planning and Zoning ordinance. And then from there, they make a recommendation as to whether this is a good project or not a good project. And then that moves on to the Board of Supervisors. And the Board of Supervisors ultimately has the final yes or no decision on whether that project can move forward.
So what I have in mind is the solar proposal, which is now called the Agua Fria project, just north of Cordes Junction. And I'm just interested in preparing for planning and zoning. Is there a way to sign up as an interested party to be somehow part of the development of information before that planning and zoning meeting? It's because of our watershed group, and we've been meeting with the solar proposers for 3 years, and a lot of our concerns, it was always said, well, after through the state approval, then it's gonna go to the county, and that's when you can have input. So, I'm just wondering if there's a formal way, you know, to like sign up as a lobbyist or, you know, that's sort of a joke but something like that, akin to that, to be involved in that process.
Well, that's a good point that you bring up too. So any case, any development case that comes to the county for review, we post that information, all of those documents, all of that letter of intent and all of those supporting documents online with that case. And you can go to our Yavapai County, yavapaiaz.gov, and you can make your way to the development services page. We have all of those cases listed, and so you can look at each case, you can provide your own input, and so everything that happens in the county you can be a part of. So I tell you what, at this point, let me turn it over to Mark. He's going to talk about some new initiatives that we've got going on in development services. He and I are going to stick around after the meeting, so feel free to find us and ask us anything that you want to ask us. We also have some good flyer information on reporting to the Registrar of Contractors, our Home of Your Own program. We have our business cards there. We've got a lot of information on the back table. Feel free to grab that on the way out too. And feel free to look us up, give us a call, or send us an email. What do you want this?
I think we loud, but only for about a couple seconds. Good evening, folks. Again, my name is Mark Mazza. I'm the Assistant Director. Thank you, Jeremy, for that great information. I want to talk a little bit about a program that we have let forth for the citizens of Yavapai County for about 2.5 years now. It's called the Home of My Own program. And what this is the county basically footed the bill for 3 different home options. A 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a 3-bedroom pre-approved engineer design plan for those 3 homes. Now these are free to any Yavapai County resident. We've got a lot of input. The 1-bedroom is great for anyone to use, but we've seen it be more popular as a second home or a guest house. So getting back to the tiny homes that you were talking about earlier, this is the more correct way to do it. So as Jeremy said, those sheds that you see at Home Depot, the tiny homes on wheels, those aren't allowed in Yavapai County. But this Home of My Own 1-bedroom is. This program originally originated as an answer for attainable affordable housing within Yavapai County. Last week I gave a presentation to the Prescott Area Association of Realtors, and I asked them a few questions. What's the average home in Yavapai County? What's the average home in the Quad City area? So in that Quad City area, I got the number of $630,000 was the average home in the Quad City area. In the more rural Yavapai County area, it's about $460,000. So to go for a $460,000 home as a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, a nurse, that's not very attainable. So what we found out is getting some feedback from some of these contractors is they're able to build these homes, the 3-bedroom homes being built for about $200,000. So that's a great entry level for a new home, a new homeowner, or someone moving to that probably wants some affordability.
When you say build them for 200, that would be the cost of the person buying it? Or
That's the cost of the person buying it. Minus the cost of the land. I wish we had land packages, but that's not quite our business. So these plans are free to view on our website. Go to yavapaiaz.gov. You go to the Development Services tab. We have a big banner that will direct you right to the home file.
So the VA recognize that? The VA recognize that? Is that an option?
As far as the financing through the VA, they should, because it's all pre-designed and engineered. So it'd just be the same as a owner-builder type financing. Any other questions on the ground?
I'm trying to understand what the primary matrix for that is. What, I mean, these homes that you're causing to be built, and, or do they get built for a specific individual, or how does this project unfold?
So So if a person has a piece of land and they want to build a home on it, rather than paying an architect and designer $10,000, $15,000 to design their home, we have these pre-approved ones that you can use. So you have a cost savings up front there. Because it's all pre-approved and through our department, it's actually, we reduce the permitting fees. And because we've already gone through these over 50 times, that permitting process is actually cut in about half. So as Jeremy said, our permitting review times are about 2 weeks. These are about a week, with maybe even less, depending on your location.
Now, did you mention the word free there somehow?
The home isn't free, but the design of the home is free.
Oh, I now get it. All right, thank you.
So if you go to that, our website, you can see those 3 different options. And we have left and right elevations. We have the 1 bedroom, the 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom. The 1 bedroom is about 800 square feet. Livable is about 600 square feet. 3 bedroom, total under roof is about 1,800 square feet with a livable about 1,600 square feet. They're pretty good sized homes. To build, I just spoke with a customer just last week. It was about 170. 170. Yes. And it does vary from contractor to contractor. No, it's the contractor's absolutely at the customer's choice. Yeah, we don't have any Correct. Because when everything is submitted, obviously we recognize the plans and it's a home of my own program.
Is it certain contractors?
Any contractor should be able to do this.
Well, yeah, but I mean, do you have certain ones that we're allowed to pick from?
No, just any contractor.
And they will perform under your parameters of about 200,000.
No, they set their own price because it fluctuates by cost of material, their time and material that they estimate on their bill. But just on average, the feedback that we received from it's about $200,000 a bill.
Okay, but it will vary.
It will vary based on your contract or based on the week or month based
So
on.
the contractor came back and said that's going to be 400,000.
I would get another bid. No, the only thing we could do is provide the plans. We couldn't do any recommendations because it would become biased and unfair to the other contractors that want to provide that service as well. It's only one type of building. So with these plans, that's kind of the caveat to it is because it's engineered and stamped, there's very minimal modifications that you can make. Exterior-wise, you can choose between horizontal paneling or like stone and stucco. You can change the carport to a enclosed garage. But as far as the layout, the framing, all of that does have to be per specs for those specs. If no other questions, I'll move on to my last part. So one of the things that we are hoping in this next budget year is video inspections. So one of the things that we used to do once COVID hit, we couldn't go out in the field and go in people's homes and look at different permits that they had pulled. So we started going to the way of video inspections, and the technology wasn't quite there. We did go through Skype, and every video inspection basically failed. The call failed. It didn't really work out, so it lost the public interest very quick, as well as our inspectors as well. So one of the things that we're retooling is a company called ViewSpecs, and they are a scheduling and video inspection company that once we get this integrated, it's approved by the board in the budget. We'll be able to schedule you for a video inspection. What this will do is once you schedule that inspection, it'll actually send you a text message with a link confirming that time. Now, this isn't going to be an 8 to 12 time. This is going to be the time that you select. If you want that video inspection at 8:30 and it's available, you can schedule it at 8:30. And that inspector will be there at 8:30 virtually on your smartphone. So to connect, all you do is click on that link in that text message, and your video camera pops up, and then you go look at your inspector will instruct you, go to your footer at your stem wall, and then show me that it's 18 inches deep, or it's 24 inches deep. So they'll walk you through that inspection process. So all you need is that smartphone. So then it takes out that half a day spending time waiting for an inspector to show up. It's going to save the county almost an immeasurable amount of mileage, windshield time, gas. We're going to be able to hopefully increase our inspection times, and for the good, by about 20-30% by using this type of technology. Because we'll be able to do that much more, that much quicker. And one of the things that's good about this is even if you're in a more rural area where you don't have that internet connection or that cell phone coverage, they do have a way to still have you record that and then upload it once you do get into like a Wi-Fi or internet connection. Yes, sir.
I hate to give any vendor a preference, but let me just mention this. iPad and Apple, it works perfectly every time, everywhere. I'm amazed, and it beats Skype all to hell.
And this will actually be able to utilize Apple products, Android products like that. So we're completely eliminating Skype because they're just not good. As you said. And that's all I have. Any other questions? Thank you all very much.
I'm going to try to get everybody out of here at 7:30. Our last speaker of the day is Roger McCormick. He's from Lake Forest and can discuss future road projects.
All right, thank you. Thank you everybody for sticking around until the end here so that you can hear a little bit about public works and the projects going forward. So again, my name is Roger McCormick. I'm the Assistant Director for Public Works. And I would be remiss if I didn't put a shout out to Joe Hubot over here. He's the guy that's been doing the mic for us all night. He also works for Public Works. He's our operations manager. So just real quick, over general maintenance over the last year, we've spent about $500,000 down here in Black Canyon City. So that's about, fixing potholes, doing shoulder repairs, drainage work, any type of stuff like that. Over time, it kind of builds up. We have finished recently a rubberized chip seal project on Old Black Canyon Highway, and so you'll see that out there. That one is complete, as well as we have done Kingsway and Mesquite Drive overlay projects with new asphalt, which we're super excited about. Also, since it's been winter time, it's the best time of year for us to go out and to put crack seal into our roads because the cracks open up wider during the winter with the cold temperatures. And so you've probably seen some crack seal machines around town filling in cracks within the roads. That tallied up to about $60,000 worth of crack seal down here in Black Canyon City over the winter. We've got a dirt to black project coming up here within Black Canyon City. Saguaro Drive has a portion of Saguaro that's paved, and then there's a portion that's unpaved, and so we're going to pave the rest of that road. That's coming up here real soon. Within the next month or so, you're going to see people mobilizing out there to pave that road. We've also got in our tentative budget for the next FY, we've got Mud Springs Road to do another rubberized chip seal on that, going both sides of I-17 and then putting, that'll act as what we call a stress absorbing membrane interlayer for those that are interested. Without getting too technical, that just basically spans the cracks that are on the existing road and allows the new asphalt to not be as affected by the cracks that are underneath it. So it puts a little buffer in between the new asphalt And so that project will be coming up in the next fiscal year 23-24, which begins in July. And the last thing I'll do here is back in the back where you guys entered, there's a little easel back there that has a poster on it about a transportation study that's going on right now for northern Arizona. That transportation study is looking at safety on our roads throughout Yavapai County and northern Arizona in general. And that's being administered by Northern Arizona Council of Governments in partnership with the Central Yavapai Metropolitan Planning Organization and also the Flagstaff Metropolitan Planning Organization. And so there's some information about that next to the poster. We encourage everybody here to go to that website that's on the information back there and to fill out areas that you know are in need of some safety improvements. In looking at the last 5 years, from 2017 to 2021, there's been about 576 fatal accidents in northern Arizona, which equates to around, I think it was around 690 fatalities, because there's sometimes multiple fatalities with those accidents. And so it's really important to Yavapai County and also to NACOG to make our streets safer. And so we want to hear from you guys where you know of safety issues. And the website is really cool. It's easy. Once you go to the website, there's a map of Yavapai County, and you take and just drag a pin drop down to the areas on the map where you think there's an issue for either pedestrians, bicycles, or for vehicles. We're doing all three modes of those transportation methods. And that's going through the end of this month is when they're taking the input for that safety study. And I think with that, I'll finish it off. Any questions? Yes, sir.
What are you going to do about the crossing once Fall got the road? Since last year, we had two weeks that we were able to cross, just in time going around.
Yeah, so Squaw Valley Road, that's a known low water crossing that we are aware of. I think the last time that was looked at as kind of a permanent hardened surface was back in around 2013, around the time Marin Avenue was improved with the hardened crossing there. So it's definitely on our radar. I will say that there's no immediately planned project for that, but you know, it's worth going to the table and talking with Supervisor Gregory and the flood control district and seeing what might could be done there.
But when they fix it, all they do is they spend 2 days with a bulldozer throwing all the stones on the side. So the next day they always come back.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it functions. It functions as a low water crossing. That's native right now. It's not improved. Yeah. Yeah, it is a white crossing. You know, at the time that they looked at Marin Avenue, Marin Avenue is quite a bit shorter than the Squaw Valley crossing is, and so it is a challenging project. It will be something that has to be looked at closely and studied and be able to improve it. And no, that's not the case. You know, everybody down here is important. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So it is still running. I had somebody run down this morning and check it, and they said it was still running. Because it's still running, we don't want to, you know, put a whole bunch of effort into clearing it and still have it run and mess it up again. And so as soon as that dries out, we'll get down here and get it open and cleared out again.
It seemed like there was a lot of time between when it dried out and we finally got here this year. And, you know, it could have been open 3 or 4 more months. Seems like, I mean, I don't know geology or anything, but it was dry and everybody just kept saying, well, they can't open it until they move the rocks. And we waited and we waited and we waited.
Well, we have full intention of
as soon as that stops running, to get down here and get it open. So you can call our office, Public Works office. As soon as you see that water stop, let us know. We'll get out there. I'll send somebody down to get it open. Okay? Yeah, snow melt is still coming. You know, we're finally getting into the 80s now, so we're gonna see that water start to melt. Yeah, for sure. Yes, sir.
How you doing? I travel quite a bit between Black Canyon and Prescott Valley, and I've encountered a couple of wrong-way drivers on 69. And I'm just curious, is that common? I haven't been here that long, but it seemed pretty crazy that people were going the wrong way. One of them was stopped. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. And I don't know if it's a matter of visibility, like it's too dark along stretches of 69, or signage. Turn left here, go across, or whatever, but
Yeah.
is that a thing on 69?
You know, I'm not sure exactly how common it is, being that the county does not oversee that road. That's the state that oversees that road. But you know, a lot of things lead to people going the wrong way. It could be signage is not clear. It could be they're impaired. You know, there's a bunch of things. But if you remember where those spots are, the safety study that I was talking about, that's exactly the type of thing that we're looking to see and to find and to study more. If you can put a little pin drop on State Route 69 where that happened, and then they can include that as part of the analysis and the safety study.
Okay, thank you. What was the name of the site?
There's actually some flyers back there that will have the site listed on there, a little QR code. Is everybody familiar with what a QR code is? Okay, so that the QR code, you just bring your phone up, turn the camera on, and it'll take you right to that website. Yep. All right.
Okay, we went over a lot of information. And we're going to stick around after the meeting. Quick update, cost communication with our broadband. Everything's going very smooth. They've been a really good partner for the county to start seeing construction happen this summer, and then hopefully we have a completion date by 24. So that's going to be good news for us. That was a project where we invested $3 million of funding in to help that internet service provider to get up in our area. So should improve the broadband significantly for Black Canyon City. So stick around. Everybody that's spoken on is still here. So if you have any questions, thank you for coming out tonight.
Good job, Joe. Okay, that concludes this screen. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.